You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always, is...
Rear Admiral Josh Schaefer.
That's 2-star. You're not a Commodore, you're a 2-star.
2-star.
So you're rear. My mom taught me that. Radam, Vadam, Adam, Fadam. So Rear Admiral, that's 2. Okay.
I always forget your mom was in the Navy.
She was.
Yeah.
The only thing I picked up from her besides liking really old coffee that's been boiling all day is how to know what the order of the admirals is.
I still don't know.
Rear Admiral, Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, Admiral, and Fleet Admiral.
Huh. Star Trek do that too?
Yeah, actually, they do. They do the same thing. They do some weird things, and this will actually introduce us into it, because in the Cage and Menagerie, or specifically the Menagerie, which was taking the Cage, Pike is introduced as a fleet captain, which is not a rank that actually exists in anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could be a captain of a fleet.
Yeah, fleet captain. I don't know. I would assume it's you've been put in charge of a group of ships for a specific mission, but you're not actually an admiral yet. So it's like a field kind of thing, a field rank, but it's still dumb because it doesn't actually exist.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
No.
It's like Sergeant versus Sergeant at Arms, neither of which are in this, but like aren't you shouldn't that be the same thing? But it's not quite, but it is. But yeah, it's dumb.
No, I have arms.
Yeah, but then of course, if you look at it, Star Trek is filled up with people, but you go from cadet to ensign.
Yeah.
There's no petty officers in there. No one is an unenlisted person.
Yeah.
Or no one is everyone's
Well, it's on
an officer.
It's on the ships though.
Everyone's an officer. Well, but there's
Don't they have a military force?
They might, but you never see it on the show. The only person who is unranked in the entirety of all the Star Trek shows is sadly
Wesley?
O'Brien.
I thought he had a rank.
He has a rank on Next Generation, but when he goes over to Deep Space Nine, he has a single pip without a fill-in. He's an unlisted instead of not.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He's just an enlisted guy. So that the second that Nog goes to the academy and becomes an ensign, he outranks O'Brien. Yeah.
I wonder did they ever explain why that happened?
I'm just assuming it's because he didn't go to the academy and was just picked up, but they don't, despite putting it in the show, they never explain the continuity about why that's the case.
Huh.
Yeah. By the way, we're talking about Star Trek, in case you didn't know for this podcast.
There's only one O'Brien.
The reason we're bringing up Star Trek is because Strange New Worlds just finished its first season run. And it's funny to look at Strange New Worlds and bitch about Star Wars and how it's always focused on the same era and everything. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoyed Strange New Worlds, despite it being set 7 years before the original series.
Honestly, Star Trek has only been in one section of history, really.
Well, they have 4 eras so far, not counting Kelvin.
Yeah.
But they do have 4 eras. Enterprise, which no one likes. But it does at least help to document the rise of the Federation before the Federation existed. The original series era, which spans through the movies, and also includes 2 seasons of Discovery and now Strange New Worlds. They have the Next Generation era, and all the shows and shit that came with that. And then they have the distant future of 2 seasons of Discovery. The 3rd and 4th season of Discovery take place 300 years in the future.
Oh, yeah. So I was thinking Voyager for some reason. I was like, what? No. Discovery, yeah.
Discovery. So they do have 4 eras. They are actually willing to do more exploration. And that is something that when people bitch about, Star Trek doesn't move beyond the same eras, which is kind of true. You then have Discovery, who decided, let's jump 300 years in the future and actually tell something 200 years forward of anything we've seen. So there is actually new material.
Yeah, and I like Discovery. I know a lot of people don't like it, but
it's better now than it was in first season.
First season was a little too stylized, although their Groundhog's Day episode was super cool.
It was. I think that was the only episode of that season I liked. So my issue with we're supposed to be talking Strange New Worlds, but let's talk Discovery. And I know we've mentioned this before, but Michael Burnham was set up as an unenlisted person.
Yeah.
A prisoner who's put on a ship and is just going to work but has no rank. And everyone hates her. And they took care of that whole plot line in a single season.
Yeah.
It should have been longer.
I agree with that.
Especially since the show is all about her.
Yeah.
But what I like about Strange New Worlds is, one, it's not all about one character. Pike may be the captain, but we get episodes about everyone.
It has definitely like an old school Deep Space Nine feel to it.
It does.
Which,
it does.
as you know, that's both of our favorites. So
it's fresh and interesting. It doesn't mind referencing, like the last episode of the first season is kind of a side remake of an original series show with a different outcome to it, which is cool.
Yeah.
But they at least didn't decide to set it in like an old looking set for like they did with the Tribbles remake episode from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that one too.
Yeah, which while I appreciate what they did because they had a very specific view they were doing to stitch the characters into the show, I like how Discovery updates the tech while still kind of referencing the old tech.
Yeah.
Like there's not Discovery, Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Updates it. The show is very smartly constructed in trying to update while still keeping within continuity and yet tell its own stories.
Yeah.
Like a show that has Spock and Uhura on it should not like feel fresh and interesting, and yet somehow the show does.
Yeah. And then on our last episode, we talked about Disney Plus and how it's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
I find myself watching a lot of Paramount.
I find myself watching a lot of the Star Trek on Paramount.
There's other things. Psych is on there too. I watch Psych.
I tried watching the Halo show, and that was awful.
Why did you do that?
Well, it was there, and it got hype, and I'm like, let's see it. My God, it was bad.
It did not. I could not get past the first episode.
I got 5 minutes into the second episode. I'm like, wow, it really isn't going to pick up.
No, it did. No, like
it's so bad.
I think I've seen Morbius more times.
Why aren't we doing a podcast on Morbius then?
It's Morbin time.
Let's all morb. But not Halo.
No.
But I watched Evil for a little while there. It lost me.
Yeah. Rutherford Falls is on Paramount Plus, I think, right?
All right, I don't know.
That's a good one.
Is it? Mm-hmm. All right. But Star Trek. Not everything that Paramount has put Star Trek-wise on the network has been good. Picard, yeah. Yeah, Picard is like... So say what you will about Voyager or Enterprise or the second of the Kelvin movies. Wow, Picard is the biggest bomb I've ever seen from the continuity.
Well, I honestly like all the Kelvin movies.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about them. I think it's just...
The second one.
The second one is... Oh, yeah, the con one, yeah. I like the third one enough.
Oh, yeah, first and third are great. And third is just a fun, stupid movie.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like classical music?
It was so dumb. It was so bad. But it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, in its own kind of goofy, like, puppy dog kind of way. It was just a fun movie.
Yeah, which is what the original series was, just stupid tropes. And
I think that's the thing that I appreciate about what Strange New Worlds did, is it's not trying to say that anything in the original series was bad. Yeah. Like, there were shows in the original series where they'd meet, like, space gods or giant space babies or weird things. And there are...
A lot of Greeks and Romans live in space.
They're objectively bad stories.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of bad shit in the original series, just storytelling wise. But Strange New Worlds still managed to reference it. They had an episode where a comet is worshipped like a god and may or may not have actually been a god. And you're sitting there going, oh my god, they just did an original series episode. Like, they actually did it and pulled it off.
Yeah.
How?
Good writing.
Good writing.
And directing.
Yeah.
And like, the cast is phenomenal.
There's a couple of episodes of the season that didn't really work for me. The one where the kid is somehow supposed to power all of society.
That's because they failed on the don't use a kid as the main focus ever.
Yeah, well, it just felt like a bad Outer Limits episode. Not even
Twilight Zone Outer Limits.
Outer Limits, yeah. Just a bad Outer Limits episode. And then the one where all the characters basically get stuck in a holodeck simulation that isn't one, the Elysian Fields episode. That one was bad too.
I don't like... I like the concept of the holodeck, but I feel like every time there's an episode that's about the holodeck, it's just like, oh, come on.
It's like I get that they were trying to like finish up the daughter's storyline. Not that she was much of a character. She wasn't.
They needed to end it somehow.
But it just the way they handled it. I know people online raved about that episode.
I thought it was meh.
The performances were amusing, but nothing that happened there really mattered.
No,
and that was my issue.
It was very meh.
Yeah, it was a filler episode.
Yeah.
But beyond, like, that's 2 episodes out of 10. And even
were there only 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
But even those two weren't bad. They had plenty of good stuff in them. It was just like it didn't really rise to the level that the other 8 episodes managed.
Yeah, it's
to.
like those 2 episodes kind of got like a B plus A minus next to
Maybe
A's.
a B minus.
The holodeck one definitely I feel was a B.
The holodeck was kind of a C episode.
Yeah.
I was like I was doing writing the whole time because it just wasn't hooking me.
Yeah, but I also hate the holodeck. I love it, but ever since I saw Community's Dreamatorium, like nothing compares to that. So,
well, it's always the thing of like with any holodeck episode, it's oh no, we're trapped in here. We're going to have to figure out what the plot of it is so we can escape. And this one, even though it wasn't a holodeck episode, it had followed the same storyline. It was just
the bullets are real.
Yeah. Oh my God! Look, there's Robin Hood.
Great acting, sir, Stewart.
So, yeah,
But I'm excited for I was very hesitant because I love Star Trek, and I think we were talking about it a couple of years, 2-3 years ago when we were talking about how it's like why does Star Wars get all the cool stuff? Where's all the Star Trek stuff?
Yeah.
And
It's kind of flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what sucks though is that Paramount Plus, the only people I know that have Paramount Plus are other people who are Trekkies.
Yeah.
And that's
it's a very insular community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't have Disney money, which is fine. I don't need Disney money, but
well, it's funny because the people I know that want to watch Paramount Plus watch it for 2 reasons: Star Trek or South Park. It's Star Trek or South Park are the big things that are on there right now, and it's like I'm sure there's some overlap between the two. But it's funny that you mentioned the last episode as a joke, but still that there seems to be a lot of overlap between the Star Wars fans and the MRA fans.
Yeah.
The MRA dudes. They're very super conservative and hate anything that's liberal leaning. Now, there are some people that bitch about Star Trek being liberal leaning now, which I'm like, go back and watch the original series. It's all liberal leaning.
My father-in-law was talking about how woke it is, and I'm like, what's woke about it?
Yeah.
Like literally the original series was way more quote unquote woke than what this is.
Yeah. Have you the episode where the guys that are painted black and white in one direction hate the races of the other guys that are painted black and white in the other? Do you not get how that's an allegory for racism?
Right? What about when Kirk straight up open mouth kissed her on TV?
She liked it. Oh, your girdle, sir.
Captain's Log 5. I can't even finish it. Misplaced my toupee and girdle and cannot cannot leave. Oh,
Mr. Science Zero 3000. It's interesting to think about that. Like, if you want to pair something up with South Park, this was the point I was trying to make. I would pair Star Wars. I would feel like the people that watch the MRA dudes that watch South Park, even though they're missing the point of South Park, are the same people that Star Wars is courting right now. They're the people I would think would be super excited that there's a new Beavis and Butthead movie.
I'm excited about that. I haven't watched it yet.
But the people that are excited for Star Trek aren't the South Park guys. They probably, more than likely, aren't the Beavis and Butthead guys. They are, if anything, the Daria people. So...
Yeah. Which is, it's always been weird to me too, now that you mentioned South Park.
Yeah.
Because South Park is one of the most liberal-leaning shows that I've seen, and they don't even try to hide. It's not like Rick and Morty, where...
It's very libertarian, because the dudes that write it are libertarian.
Are they?
Yes.
I thought they were...
Trey Parker and Matt Stone are libertarian.
Oh, I thought they were Democratic Socialists because they were Bernie supporters.
Well... They can support Bernie because of some of the things that he says, but they've come out and said that they're libertarians.
Oh,
yeah,
weird.
But it is at times liberal. It is at times kind of weirdly conservative in some of its opinions.
Yeah,
which you can see how it's libertarian in that respect.
Yeah, but some of the stuff they do is like the whole QAnon episodes. Like it's like you guys are missing the point. Like I had acquaintances on Facebook that are no longer acquaintances that were like, "This South Park episode gets it." Like they're making fun of you.
The satire on South Park can be really weird sometimes and not always be obvious. And I guess maybe that's the thing about the original series is maybe the Star Trek. The storytelling is old enough that people don't equate it to the modern era anymore, and they don't see the political allegory of what's going on.
I feel like it was pretty ham-fisted. Like,
Well, yeah, it is, but
it wasn't like Twilight Zone where you had to think about it for a second. It was like you said, I'm half black and half white. That guy's half white and half black. I hate him. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
What does the space baby really say about...
there was a planet of Nazis. There was a Nazi planet. And then there was a Roman planet that was like the Nazi planet. How much more...
Are we talking Westworld now? Like,
I don't even know.
Today on Josh Has an Intimate Rant, or...
I don't know. The whole people saying like Star Trek's too woke. Incoherent rant.
Yeah.
The wokeness thing just irritates me.
I get you. Well,
but especially with shows that were quote unquote woke since its conception.
Yeah.
Except for, I'm sorry, I don't think Roddenberry had a lot of respect for his own peoples, but
the Jews.
The Ferengi.
Yeah.
But
well. Ferengi were introduced in like one of the early episodes. They were bad, but Roddenberry wasn't really with the show when the Ferengi were fleshed out.
Oh, okay.
To be even more racist, even though they tried to redeem them, but they didn't. But they did, but they didn't.
Deep Space Nine, I think, got some redemption.
But
they're
not
still.
Always. To redeem them, they basically had to have characters not act like Ferengi, like Nog and Rom. So.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Oof.
But, so, while we're talking about Star Trek, my wife wants to play a Star Trek game at some point.
Yes.
And she really, like, there's a meme that's going around.
Are you talking about the RP one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's that meme going around about the Klingon counselor. And she really wants to be a Klingon counselor. But there's an episode of Next Generation that I've been seeing clips of on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, this is a long story to get to where I'm going. So there's clips on YouTube of, like, Data being put in charge of a small ship for a fleet. So he's captain of the ship. And, like, the guy that the lieutenant commander that was in charge of the ship, he doesn't want to work with Data because he doesn't think a android would make a good captain. And he's like, you wouldn't expect a Klingon to be a counselor, a Betazoid to do this, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, now I want to do an entire RPG of, like, the wrong races being in things.
We should do that. I have all the books.
I know.
I backed it on Kickstarter.
I'll play anytime you want, but it's like, she wants to be the Klingon counselor. I want to be the Betazoid engineer who just puts his... Yeah.
I feel...
Puts his head against the warp core. Is like, show me how you're feeling today, baby.
I don't know why, but I just envisioned a Ferngully thing. Can't you feel its pain?
Engineer, how's the ship doing? It's angry. Can't you tell?
No. If I ran that game, I would allow you. I would allow it because it has to be a empathic thing. But it's like, no, yeah.
Yeah, the engineer would totally feel the ship.
Yeah.
I mean, the engineers on Star Trek practically do anyway. So
you tell me Geordi didn't cream his pants every time he had to climb up in the warp cores?
Yeah, I mean, and even the Orville, which is basically Star Trek without Star Trek, does the same damn thing. They just the people on the ship.
So good.
Oh, it is. It is. So.
Which I hate because I don't want to like Seth MacFarlane.
He's not. That's the thing. Like,
he's not Seth MacFarlane in this show. Though.
I hate some of the stuff he's done, but I also get the vibe that once he starts something, he kind of wanders away from it after a while and just takes an executive producer credit and gets distracted by something else. Like the first couple seasons of Family Guy are completely different from where Family Guy is now.
Yeah, I like the earlier Family Guy for sure.
Yeah,
it's more tolerable.
Yeah, so and like there's some stuff he does is bad, like A Million Ways to Die in the West.
What? I love that movie.
Ted. Well, Ted has that asshole in it, and I'm not talking about Seth MacFarlane. Yes.
Yeah.
This generation's Mel Gibson.
You mean it's a hate crime to hate Vietnamese people
and kick the shit out of them?
Yeah,
yes.
What?
No.
I'm from the Funky Bunch. You can't have the Funky Bunch without Marky Mark.
You just have a small group of funky people. It's not a bunch until you have enough of them.
And that's where the Village People came from.
They weren't enough for it to be a village bunch. See, now we've established. No, but like I like the Orville. I like I like where it's at right now. Now it's back.
Yes.
We've kind of wandered way off from Strange New Worlds, but
Well, we weren't going to fill a 15-minute episode with just talking about Strange New Worlds.
I would, because Captain Pike's dreamy.
He is. His eyes piercing.
So I gotta tell you, I did not expect to like Anson Mount as Captain Pike nearly as much as I did, because the thing I saw with him before that was Inhumans. He was Black Bolt.
Oh crap, he was.
He was, and wow, did that show do him dirty.
Yeah, I didn't put... I don't know if I ever realized that.
Yeah, it did him dirty.
Because, yeah, I love the Inhumans, and
that show was
trash.
It was trash. I made it 3 episodes in and couldn't finish it.
It's so long. I like when you have a character whose entire superpower is to control her hair, and they don't have hair for no reason.
And it's supposed to be indestructible hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. It's bad.
What?
Yeah. The whole show was bad. But Anson Mount got a good show with Strange New Worlds. Like, Seth MacFarlane finally has a good show with the Orville. It's amazing how Star Trek will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it gave us Thor. Star Trek did.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth got... Yeah. But it does show that you shouldn't push it too far. Once you've done your time, don't try and do it again. Picard.
Yeah, that was... I'm surprised Anthony Stewart. Wrong person. Patrick Stewart signed off on that, because he's usually, I feel like, a little bit more selective.
I don't know.
They had to have cut a huge check or something.
Is he selective, though? I mean, he was in Life Force.
That's that vampire one,
Naked
right?
Vampire, space vampire movie, yeah.
That movie was weird.
and
he was in Dune.
And erotic.
He had a rat tail mullet thing in Dune.
Hard to envision for Patrick Stewart, but it's true.
It's true. Go back and watch it. My wife loves that movie, so I've seen it more than once.
Naked Vampires,
not that one. I'm talking about Dune.
Oh, okay.
No.
I mean, I was going to give your wife credit for Naked Space Vampires.
I mean, there's worse movies to like. I like The Howling, so.
She likes white chicks, so.
That movie. She made me watch it, and I was like, Terry Crews is in this.
I'd rather watch Picard.
I don't know. Picard's longer.
It's really unbearable. My God, I've done 2 seasons of that show, and I just wish I hadn't.
I couldn't get past the first season. Like, everyone's like, watch till like the 3rd or 4th episode, and it picks up.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
No, it gets worse.
Yeah.
The first couple episodes of the show are good, and then it gets worse.
Yeah, there was, and I can't remember who did this, but there's a supercut on YouTube where it was like, watch first season of Picard to get caught up or something.
Yeah.
So I watched it, 5 minutes long. Feel like I watched the whole season.
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's not a lot, and that's a problem with that. Not a lot happens. It's like when you watch Discovery. They don't really tell independent episodes on Discovery.
Yeah.
It's all about the long storyline. And yet, at the same time, most of what they do for the season doesn't really matter. No. I like Discovery up to a point, but it is nowhere near as good as just straight episodic Star Trek. It's why I like Strange New Worlds. Mm-hmm. It's why I like The Orville. It's why I like Lower Decks. Those ones know how to do episodic storytelling that makes you care.
Yeah. And I think, now that you mention it, I think you mentioned this before too, but I think that's where Discovery kind of stops, because I kind of like the Monster of the Week Star Trek over the just...
Well, and I don't mind the idea of a long, continuous storyline. Buffy did it all the time, as did Angel. But they were smart enough to interlace those storylines with Monster of the Week things that actually made you interested in the individual episodes.
But they're wasting so much money that they don't have probably the resources for that or something.
Well, and that's why I liked, of all the Discovery episodes, the one that I can talk about and like think back and be like, oh, this is a good episode, was the Time Loop episode from the first season. Because that was a self-contained storyline that didn't affect anything around it.
Which was amazing.
It was great. And I think...
Their Mirror Universe episode was cool, too, in the first season. But I'm a hooer for the Mirror Universe stuff.
I was, until they just kept doing shit with it. Like...
The Enterprise one?
That one was good. That one was good.
When they changed up the intro and stuff, oof.
Discovery came out, and then Orville came out soon around that point as well. And you could see Paramount was sitting there going, they're on to something that we probably should have done. So while they did Picard, which is bad and serialized, they also introduced Lower Decks.
Which is awesome.
Introduced Strange New Worlds. They introduced Prodigy, but no one cares about Prodigy.
It wasn't like we watched it because of the kids, and it was okay.
It's fine. It's very much a Nickelodeon show.
Yeah.
Like, despite it having Janeway on it, if it didn't have Star Trek theming, you wouldn't even think it was a Star Trek show.
Yeah, that's my issue with it. If they weren't on the Star Trek ship,
it could be anything and not be Star Trek. Yeah.
It could have been Star Wars thing for all you know.
Yeah, they could. Oh, the Millennium Viper. Oh, look at that. And yeah, it would be the same kind of damn thing.
Yeah.
A holographic Han Solo is gruff at them and then tells them to do things. My God, why are you on my ship? I just want to be dead.
Yeah. Because I thought it was gearing up for them to be actual cadets, but it never happened.
Yeah. So, but you could see that Paramount was, some of the people at Paramount were going, man, the Orville's actually doing what we should be doing. So they've done some shows that match that and given fans what they actually wanted. Yep. So to bring it back to Strange New Worlds, what I appreciate is the episodic storytelling. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that they have enough characters on the show that aren't tied up in future continuity that we can care what happens to them. The first officer who we never got to see past the cage originally, security officer who's somehow related to Khan but isn't really, so it's not like they're just doing the Khan storyline again. Yeah. There's enough other characters that they add stakes to the show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's a tragedy.
Uh-huh.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because we just know that something happens to Pike. We never actually get to see what. Yeah. So actually filling that up. And that's something that's this is an era of the show that isn't really known.
Yeah.
We know the Spock survives through it and Uhura survives through it. We don't know anything else about this era. So despite the fact that it's tied to the original series, it's fresh and interesting.
Yeah.
So we can do new stories that actually just matter.
Yeah.
Just not with Romulans.
No.
They don't get introduced for 7 years.
Yeah. They were always my least favorite villain. Another...
Ferengi. The Ferengi, as a villain, the Ferengi are terrible.
I always forget that they were villains for a while.
They were. They were just bad. They're just little space scavengers. Like,
Like, way to make pirates not cool, right. Star Trek.
Right. Then they made pirates cool and started changing the world. So it was funny. Yeah,
it was fine.
Anyway. Anything else?
I don't know. Star Trek's pretty cool.
Got to figure out who the other characters on this theoretical ship we're going to be running on.
I know.
I have the ship design though. Remember, I designed one that was pretty good looking. So we'll have to use that at some point.
Stupid COVID.
All right, this has been Not So Live from Asteroid G, darting off into a future sector of the universe. I am Mike Finkelstein.
There's my girdle and my toupee.
We will see you next time.